that is a red flag. That is a person that does not care about the safety of sex with you. Your hoo-ha will be so much softer. You are good enough just as the next person is. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hey, what's up if you're new? As you can tell by the title of this video, we are going to be getting into feminine hygiene tips that I wish I would have known in my 20s. Actually, I wish I would have known a lot of these things growing up, because if you're similar to me, you did not have a lot of education or somebody guiding you throughout life to help you with certain things as a growing, budding young woman. A lot of the topics in this video might get a little uncomfortable. I think one of the biggest things in our life that could make us feel rich is health. Health essentially is your wealth. If you are able to live your best life, and that looks different for everybody, then you are going to live a rich life, regardless of you having a million, trillion, billion dollars, whatever. As long as you're healthy, you should be happy. You should be living your best life. Without further ado, let's get awkward, let's get weird, and let's get into 10 feminine hygiene tips that I wish I knew in my 20s. Number 1, knowing the phases of your menstrual cycle. There's 4 different phases: menstrual, follicular, luteal, and ovulation. And I also recommend you getting a period tracker app. I use an app called Stardust. It's my favorite one. It will tell you what phase of your cycle you're on, and it'll track your cycle, and it'll help you align with why you're cramping, why you're feeling extra sleepy, why you may be feeling horny, whatever the case may be. There's certain phases of your period where you're like asking yourself, like, why am I being crazy? Or you may not even be asking yourself why, you're just behaving in a certain way and you're not even taking the time to think about why that is. And it's very important for you to understand the self so that you can live your best life. You can be like, okay, well, I feel like crap, it's luteal phase time, or oh, I'm feeling extra spicy today and I feel like extra sexy today. You're clearly in your ovulation phase of your period. Learn your phases for your cycle and just watch how you can improve your life on a day-to-day basis. It'll help you tremendously, I promise. Number 2, how you present yourself in society matters. Oh, and I know that might ruffle some feathers, but I'm not talking about you presenting yourself to look pretty, to be sought after by whoever. I'm talking about how you present yourself to society matters in the sense of, are you representing yourself in a way that feels good and authentic and genuine to you? There should be this way that you go about moving in life as a woman and presenting for yourself. Are you gonna wear your hair up today because it's extra greasy? Are you going to put perfume on today to make yourself feel good? This is never about presenting yourself to others, but presenting yourself in a way that you know society respects you for being authentic to who you are. That's up in the air of how other people perceive you, but you want to establish yourself in the world and be confident in who you are in a way that you are proud of. For example, let's say you're not feeling good that day and you don't necessarily want to dress super feminine and you don't want to like curl your hair, you don't want to wear makeup. You don't have to. You definitely don't have to. But how you represent yourself could still be just as beautiful. It can still be just as elegant. It can still be just as feminine. Put on like a cozy set or put your hair up in a bun and just make yourself feel good, because at the end of the day, how you treat yourself inwardly is how you're going to reflect outwardly. So if you're somebody that's not brushing their teeth, not putting on deodorant, not wiping after they go to the bathroom, I know that sounds crazy, but you know, there are people out there that are struggling with depression and etc. So what I'm saying is, how you are treating yourself is how other people in society are going to flag how they should treat you. It's like that golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. Treat yourself how you want others to treat you. So how you present yourself in society does matter to some certain extent, but it's not in the extent of like people pleasing. It's in the extent of pleasing yourself for the sake of showing others how to care for you, how to respect you. Now that's gonna get into the next tip that I have for you. Number 3, having boundaries as a woman and sticking to them. I wrote here, boundaries are one of the biggest determining factors of you actually knowing your self-worth and valuing it. Knowing who you are and treating yourself in the best possible way. Not letting anyone treat you less than how you think you deserve to be. If you don't have boundaries with yourself in life, you most likely have low self-esteem. And I don't want that to be like a diss or a shade to anyone out there experiencing low self-esteem. You are not less than anybody on this planet. You are good enough just as the next person is. I've been there. I have experienced low self-esteem, and it came from a lack of boundaries to myself. When it comes to establishing boundaries as a woman, saying no is okay. You can say no. You can say no. And a lot of the times I think for women, they want to be above and beyond and please their lovers, please their family, please their friends, but you can say no. But that's not only the type of boundary that you can have, it's just saying no. Boundaries look different on everyone. Boundaries can be like, I'm not going to eat a lot of sugary foods because I know that it's bad for my body. That's a boundary that you have with yourself. A boundary can look like, oh, I'm going to go to bed at 10 p.m. because I know that my body needs a certain amount of hours of sleeping so I can be productive the next day. But in the long run, boundaries will help keep you safe and they will help keep you healthy. And what I mean by that is we're going to move into our next tip. Number 4, practicing safe sex as a woman. Right now there's a huge trend on TikTok where people will comment underneath someone that's posting a thirst trap or comment on someone's photo if they're an attractive person and the comment says raw, next question. They're basically saying I would have sex with this person raw without a condom. This isn't that deep because it's one of those things that's like internet jokes, internet funny. I think that kind of puts into perspective where we're at as a society, especially on the internet or maybe just on American TikTok. I don't really know, but it's not that deep, but at the same time it is that deep. I just like want to break it down to you right here. Make it simple, make it easy. Humans are animals. Sex is literally to make a child. Sex was never supposed to be this like leisure thing. Because of science and technology, humans have come up with so many different ways of contraceptives to prevent having a pregnancy. If you are a woman that's engaging in having a sexual life, it is so important that you have boundaries in place about whatever that sex life is. Having condoms yourself as a woman is going to help protect you. Now, if somebody refuses to use a condom because they say it doesn't feel good or the pull-out method, it works every single time, that is a red flag. That is a person that does not care about the safety of sex with you. It's also important to know that person's sexual history. You guys are not in a committed relationship and you're not talking about whether they get tested regularly. A condom will also help prevent from STIs. Certain things like chlamydia and gonorrhea can be cured. Why put yourself through these uncomfortable illnesses or infections just because of one interaction with a man? If he doesn't want to wear a condom, he does not care about himself either. You might have something going on with you, and the fact that you haven't even brought up the condom either, that should be a red flag in his mind as well. Safe sex is something that I think we need to start preaching more about because it is getting scary out here in these streets. Don't feel weird or ashamed about carrying condoms if you're going out. Don't feel weird about bringing it up to a guy because those are your boundaries. And some people are like, oh, well, I'm on birth control, I'm not gonna have a baby. You could still get chlamydia, you could still get gonorrhea, you could still get AIDS, you could still get any kind of STI, it doesn't matter. Number 5, understanding bacterial vaginosis is going to help you along the way, especially if you're not having safe sex. Bacterial vaginosis is something that is commonly diagnosed. Some cases can be so severe that you will need an antibiotic, but understanding what it is, you will smell down there and you will have a lot of discharge. I highly recommend that you Google it, but I think bacterial vaginosis is most common in women who are having unsafe sex with partners whom they don't trust or know their sexual history, and they're getting these infections because their partner is not wiping or having sex with multiple people, and there's bacteria getting into your vagina that's not healthy for it. It's very important to know what bacterial vaginosis is and to know that it can be treated over the counter. It is easily detectable, especially if you're getting discharge in a time where it's not that time of the month for you to get discharged during your cycle. And then also there will be a very potent smell for bacterial vaginosis. There is one suppository that I recommend if you get bacterial vaginosis frequently, and it is the Honey Pot Boric Acid and Herbs Suppositories and Applicator. This is a clean company. I really love this company, this brand. I have a lot of their products. If you suffer from bacterial vaginosis and it's not a serious case, you can go to Target and get these. Basically, you just insert the suppository like it's a tampon, and you might want to do it at night because it does get like a little leaky, okay, if you get what I'm saying, but that'll clear your bacterial vaginosis right up. I'm gonna group in the next couple of ones together too because they deal with the vagina. I think that we need to have the discussion. I really do. I think a lot of people are not experiencing these things, but it's so important to know. First and foremost, urinary tract infections don't necessarily always happen from sex, but they can happen from sex. Urinary tract infections happen when bacteria gets pushed into the urethra. This is a very uncomfortable feeling. It feels like you have to go to the restroom every 5 seconds. It feels like burning sensation. Another plane, Jesus. Azos can be bought over the counter, and they're these little pills. And there's so many like other things that you can do, like home remedies for UTIs that are super helpful, like drinking cranberry juice. These pills are great for suppressing symptoms like burning sensations. But just know that if you are experiencing frequent UTIs after you have sex, that is a red flag as a woman for you to stop engaging having unprotected sex with a certain person. Now, there could be underlying causes for your UTIs like PCOS or, you know, just different things. So just make sure that you're staying on top of your body in terms of that. But what I'm talking about now is specifically coming from not having boundaries, having unprotected sex. For some people, they may be like, what? I've never heard of somebody getting a UTI from sex. You can get a UTI from sex, especially if you don't use the restroom as a woman right after the act. And that's even if you used a condom. So that's another tip. Let me throw that in there. After you have sex, you should be peeing as a woman after the act is all said and done, so you can flush out the bacteria regardless of whether there has been a condom used. And then last but not least, on the terms of infections, yeast infections. Yeast infections can happen, surprisingly enough, even when people use condoms because of the type of lubricant on the condom. You could just have a very sensitive vagina. That's totally fine. That's totally normal. But knowing how to prevent it, looking at the type of condom that you're using, looking at whether you're allergic to latex, figuring out all that stuff is going to take time. There is another pill that Azo makes, and it's a yeast infection pill, and it helps suppresses the symptoms as well. I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you guys to do this. Like, you might have a crazy UTI, you may have a crazy yeast infection that requires antibiotics, but you can start with over-the-counter pills, see if it goes away over time. If it doesn't, that's when you should probably make an appointment with your gynecologist or your primary physician. But having these infections from time to time doesn't make you a bad woman. It's a learning experience, and I feel like it should be talked about more often. I don't see a lot of like influencers being like, well, yep, I suffer with UTIs, or oh, yep, I suffer with yeast infections. It's not something that is just like commonly talked about as women on the internet. If you follow older women, you will get a plethora of different varieties and topics. I love following women who talk about menopause and etc. because it just like puts things into perspective of what I will be going through at some point in my life. So I think it's nice to have somebody that is talking to you about things that most of the time influencers and content creators are not talking about. Moving on, if you are somebody that shaves your pubic hair versus getting waxed or sugared, a life tip that I have to put you on to avoid razor bumps or ingrown hairs: use a single blade whenever you're shaving your pubic hair. It's less intense and it may take you longer. Let the hair shaft grow out as much as you possibly can, and then use a single or double blade razor. They're like those disposable razors that you can get at Target or whatever. Your hoo-ha will be so much softer than using like something like an Olay Venus one where they have like 5 to 6 blades. That's gonna chop you up like quick because you're moving quick because it's going faster. The slower you go, the better it's going to be because it's like a single blade versus like 6 blades. Trust me on this one, okay? Trust. The next tip that I have is, okay, this is not necessarily geared at women, but I think it's something that's ultimately great for a woman because, you know, if you're trying to live your best life, your best healthy life, being happy and smiling and laughing and being around other people, when you're talking to other people, even if you're not happy with your smile, you need to floss your teeth as a woman. I don't know if you've heard people saying like, I can smell a cavity. No. I don't think people can smell cavities. I think that they can smell the rotting, decaying food in between people's teeth. The importance of flossing is significant as a woman, so your breath, one, isn't hot and stinky and your teeth aren't decaying over time. If you want to live a good, healthy life, that has to be a part of your regimen. Get you some dental floss, or you can get, I forgot what they're called. It's like an oral pick. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it like shoots water into your mouth and it helps get all of that grime and gunk out from in between your teeth. Take care of your teeth. Even if you can't afford the dentist, at least you can afford floss. Last but not least, I'm just gonna read off of what I have on my notes app because I feel like I've been preaching to the choir and I've been talking so much about vaginas and like, you know, safe sex and all this stuff. Number 10, taking care of your body is not optional as a woman because of our menstrual cycle. What we eat, what we think, what we feel, what we experience on a soul level affects our overall health. In order to be well, there has to be an effort made on your part as a woman to take care of yourself so that you can feel good and exist, not just in survival mode. Taking care of yourself will always look different on every woman, so don't compare yourself to anyone and do what works best for you. If you're willing to just try to do one thing for yourself per day that is good for your overall health, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's brushing your teeth and flossing, whatever it is that you want to put into your own regimen as a woman to take care of yourself that will make you feel good, I encourage you to do it. Start caring about yourself. And I think a lot of the times women, they care so much about others, but they don't necessarily care for themselves on a physical well-being level. And it makes me so sad. It makes me angry and sad because I think everybody needs love, but it's hard because you're not loving yourself. We need to start working on loving ourselves more so that we can have space and room and time to love others in the way that they also need and want to be loved. And I think this video has come off very aggressive, but I don't want it to be aggressive. I'm just like so passionate about wellness and health that I think I come off aggressive sometimes. And I don't know, maybe people don't realize this about me, or they haven't known that I have been like a wellness girly for a very long time. I wanted to share a couple of these things with you, and I wanted to open the discussion, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. And if you want more wellness tips, or you like the idea of a feminine hygiene series, I would love that. This is something, again, that I'm super passionate about, and I think we should talk about it. I think we should talk about a lot of things. I hope you guys liked the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.